what a battle it was in Boulder last night. Republicans facing off in their third Republican primary debate, filled with exciting moments, with eyes on frontrunners Donald Trump and Ben Carson. Heated exchanges all around. Here's Trump and Ohio Governor John Kasich going at it over tax reform.
You just don't make promises like this. Why don't we just give a chicken in every pot while we're coming up with these fantasy tax schemes? We'll just clean it up. Where are you going to clean it up?
This is the man that was a managing general partner at Lehman Brothers when it went down the tubes and almost took every one of us with us. He was so nice. He was such a nice guy. And he said, oh, I'm never going to attack. But then his poll numbers tanked. That's why he's on the end. And he got nasty. So you know what? You can have him.
Later, Ben Carson gets asked about how he could serve on the board of a company like Costco, a company regarded as gay-friendly.
Why would you serve on a company whose policies seem to run counter to your views on homosexuality?
Well, obviously you don't understand my views on homosexuality. I believe that our Constitution protects everybody, regardless of their sexual orientation or any other aspect. I also believe that marriage is between one man and one woman, and that there is no reason that you can't be perfectly fair to the gay community. They shouldn't automatically assume that because you believe that marriage is between one man and one woman, that you are a homophobe.
And in a moment that had lots of jaws on the floor, Jeb Bush going after the man that he mentored, Marco Rubio, attacking him for missing votes in the Senate.
Marco, when you signed up for this was a 6-year term, and you should be showing up to work. I mean, literally, the Senate, what is it, like a French work week? You get like 3 days where you have to show up? You can campaign or just resign and let someone else take the job.
Let me tell you, I don't remember you ever complaining about John McCain's vote record. The only reason why you're doing it now is because we're running for the same position, and someone has convinced you that attacking me is going to help you. Here's the bottom line. My campaign is going to be about the future of America. It's not going to be about attacking anyone else on this stage.
Sparks flying everywhere. So what does the former speaker think? And before I ask your winners and losers, I want you to react to that soundbite, because that was one of the top 3 moments in my estimation of the evening.
Well, I think it was surprising that Jeb would do that. Jeb is not a great fighter. He's got lots of strengths, but being in that kind of a back and forth brawl isn't his strength. Rubio's very smart, and he's very fast. And, you don't want to pick a fight with a guy like that unless you're prepared to stay in the ring with him. And other than Trump, I'm not sure there's anybody else who could stay in the ring with Rubio.
Right. What was weird to me is that he echoed the point that Rubio was debunking, and Jeb sounded like he was part of the liberal media that Rubio just dropped the mic on.
One of the points that Britt, you made last night was that to bring that up after Rubio had destroyed the paper in Florida as a liberal paper, and they come right back to the same topic. I don't understand what Jeb was trying to accomplish there. And I'm sure that his staff had some clever strategy, but you can't go into a debate with a previous game plan and implement it. The debates are like jazz. You've got to go in and you've got to follow the rhythm and you've got to follow the mood, and then if it feels right, do it. But if it doesn't feel right, even if your advisors are all excited, don't do it.
Well, you are the master of that. I mean, we watched you in the last presidential election. You're being humble with that face, but who do you think performed the best? I mean, they're saying Rubio. I would agree, Rubio and Cruz, but what do you think?
Well, as Frank Luntz reported last night, that one section with Cruz, Luntz said he has never seen a score that high. He said that 26 of the 28 people on dials had to have given Cruz 100 out of 100 for it to be that high. And he had never in his entire career seen that. So in a sense, you'd have to say that Cruz had an amazing night. Rubio's great strength, which comes up every single debate, is he's very likable. And in television, as Ronald Reagan understood and Walter Mondale and Jimmy Carter didn't, being likable is about 80% of the business. I mean, they'll listen to your words after they decide they like you.
Yeah.
And so I think Rubio has enormous latent advantages. and I think the odds are reasonably high he's going to be on the ticket.
Who would you want to have a beer with, Sandra? Or I suppose eat a pot brownie with, as Ted Cruz said.
Well, it sounds like I have to have a beer with all of them because I still didn't really get what their plans were to grow the economy. So I think talking winners and losers of this debate last night, the loser was the American voter who was promised a debate on the economy, your money, jobs, and the candidates were never really given a chance to go there. Fox Business, I will be moderating the next GOP debate, and I will actually ask the candidates those important questions. We didn't really hear from them on that last night. That being said, social networking, Harris, you're big on there. You cannot underestimate the power of those tools, Twitter, Facebook. And a lot of the analysis after last night's debate showed that Donald Trump, as he has been in previous debates, was not the #1 most talked about candidate on social networking. It was actually Dr. Carson, #1. Marco Rubio was the second most talked about, then Trump. I thought that was a really interesting change from recent debates that we have seen, that Dr. Carson was leading the conversation online.
Yeah, you know what I wonder from you, Mr. Speaker, is this. We get all geared up. We can't wait to watch these things. There are events like Super Bowls now, politically speaking. But are they all that important? Because we saw Carly Fiorina break out, bust out the first 2 debates and then fade away in the polling. So these big moments for Ted Cruz, Marco Rubio, what do they really mean?
Well, I mean, first of all, if you get your big moment, then you have to build on your big moment. And I think one of Carly's challenges is that, as smart as she is, she hasn't figured out the thematic that would keep her growing. And if you don't keep growing, then you slide. But by the way, on Trump, I actually think he did something very smart. Trump, for the last week or so, has been way too brittle. I mean, if you watched him, you know, talking about Seventh-day Adventist and all this stuff, whining in Iowa, why don't you love me anymore? I mean, it was pretty embarrassing. And I like Donald a lot. I think he's very smart. I actually think the best thing he could do is what he did last night, which is calm down.
Interesting.
Let people get used to him being in the room without him being dominant. He didn't suffer any hits. And at the end of the evening, he was doing just fine. So for him,
something else. Didn't he put the nail in the coffin for Kasich?
Well, he certainly gave Kasich a hard problem.
I think Kasich had a tough night because Trump went after him.
And that's Trump's style.
Yeah.
I mean, if you watch, but he only took that one really hard shot.
Yeah.
It was a hard
He didn't
one.
try to dominate the whole evening.
No, he didn't. He was very calm. He maybe he did some of Hillary's yoga poses. Who
By the way,
knows?
Maybe it was strategic.
What will be fun at some point is if Trump goes after Rubio and then Rubio goes after Trump, because they're pretty evenly matched in speed.
You hear that, Sandra Smith?
Like that.
The FBN debate. Taking some notes? All right.